Okay. And there's like a buffer, so it's probably going right now. Hey, everybody, got a little buffer here. And we're rolling. All right, well, we're here for the final session at the iRace4Life seminar. And I've got Otto Szebeni. Did I pronounce that right?
Well, you are good, Darren. That doesn't happen too often.
Well, thank you.
Right on.
Right on. Right on that it's right on.
Right on.
So, Otto Szebeni, now what's your title at iRacing?
I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing.
Okay, cool. And let me pause or mute this so we got lots of action going on here. So hopefully you guys can hear us. Keep the mic close.
People. It's cool. Yeah.
So let's talk iRacing. Obviously,
okay. Let's
actually,
do it.
You know what? I talked to you yesterday and I didn't realize this, but let's go back before iRacing. So what did you do before you worked for iRacing?
Well, I'm a man of many talents, but relating to this, I was the marketing brand manager for Papyrus Racing Games.
And I hadn't realized that you had been part of this genre going back before iRacing. So that's really cool. So now you interacted with Sierra, which was like the publisher.
I actually worked for Sierra. I was the only Sierra employee at the Papyrus home base. So
did you feel like an outcast a little bit?
Yeah, maybe a little, but I think I did pretty good at, blending in.
Yeah, I know they don't treat you like an outcast at iRacing.
No, well, you really don't know that, do you?
No, I guess I don't. Well, at least it doesn't seem that way.
No.
So let's talk about iRacing.
Sure.
So you guys just landed a pretty big sponsorship. Now that's going to go for a couple years. Peak Antifreeze is going to be the title sponsor of the NASCAR series.
Yeah, so we've been trying to, really get a really good sponsor that gets iRacing, that's excited about sim racing, and wants to kind of bring it, to the masses. Old World Industries, the owner of Peak Antifreeze, has signed a multi-year commitment.
That's awesome.
It's a 3-year deal to be the title sponsor of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing World Championship. We're not going to make that into an acronym.
I was going to say, you guys keep making the name longer, man. It makes it more difficult for me to figure out what is the series called now.
NASCAR Peak Series, Peak Antifreeze
like
Series. NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. That's very important.
NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series,
you got
powered by iRacing.com.
Of course.
So now, what did it take to land that? I mean, was that a lot of work? I would imagine that was a lot of work.
Well, you know what? We have feelers out all the time. I mean, we really treat that series as our crown jewel, and anyone that's following sim racing knows that. But it's an official NASCAR racing series. So, NASCAR treats this as a virtual arm of what they do. So it's treated very seriously. So when we go out and try and procure sponsorship, NASCAR has full say in who it is, what it is.
Right.
Being associated with those NASCAR bars, it's serious business.
I know. And just from being around it, like when we were at the NASCAR Hall of Fame and stuff, I can see how that's the case.
So, Pete came around and said, hey, guys, what is this all about? And they came to the table and said, we want a multi-year commitment. We want to brand this. We want to push it to the mainstream. We want to do promotions. We want to do, it instantly gives the series, as if it already didn't have credibility, it actually raises it to the next level because it opens the doors, I think, for a ton of sim races to do a lot of really cool things.
I agree.
And they're already showing that by offering our last year champion, Tyler Hudson, a invitation to the Peak Stock Car Dreams Challenge.
No kidding.
Which is basically, it's a Michael Waltrip Racing driver development combine.
That's really cool.
And that's by invitation only. So basically, if you're a short track racer around the world and you want that chance, they accept applications and they choose a very limited amount of people. But Pete kind of sees the value of sim racing and a new way to find new talent. Now, guys in sim racing have known this all along, that there's a lot of really good drivers in the virtual world that never get the opportunity to cross over and race in the real world.
Absolutely.
So Peak is giving us that opportunity, starting with Tyler, and I don't see it stopping.
That's really awesome.
So, yeah.
So, and I got to say, especially NASCAR fans, they are brand loyal. So I got to tell you, from my standpoint, I don't think I've ever used Peak Antifreeze, but I'm definitely going to consider it now that they are supporting something that I love so much, in sim racing.
And I really hope Peak is watching this, because that's exactly
Hear
what
that, Peak? I'm serious about
that's exactly what they want to hear. I mean,
and I'm serious. I mean, I get behind the brands. When I'm rooting for my favorite driver, if he's supporting a particular brand, I'm going to support it. Because I want to support that driver. So, knowing that they're supporting your guys' series, I think that's just an awesome deal.
And they've always, gone after the do-it-yourselfer, and these companies are always looking for ways to reach out to new audiences. And there's a lot of racing enthusiasts that own cars that, maybe weren't Peak savvy. But now, with this series, again, it's bringing new people to their product, and hopefully bringing iRacing to the masses, to the world, to really, again, solidify what we've been trying to do all along.
That's really cool.
Which is to have that official racing series and give the chance to go from virtual to real world.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about some other. Now, do you have any kind of plans like that for other series and getting tied in, like with maybe two-door or, I know Formula One's a tough nut to crack, but
Formula One don't keep you. Don't hold your breath on Formula One.
I'm
this point.
Yeah.
I mean that's what we do. I mean, short of trying to get people aware of what iRacing does, the other half of my job really is to try and procure these kind of partnerships. And
you had one with Grand Am for a while, didn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. And we're in talks now with that whole unified
Tudor, IMSA, Grand Am.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an ongoing process with us. iRacing always wants to create partnerships with the leaders and the decision makers of motorsports, because that only makes our sim better.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I definitely agree. So let's talk about the sim.
Okay.
I heard you had a session this morning where some iRacers were grilling you a little bit about future content. So I'm going to grill you a little bit about future content.
I basically went into that with my flak jacket on.
I wish I would have been here to film that. I got here a little bit late, and I kind of missed that. Now, was that in the main room?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, so you know what? It was filmed, and I might be able to get access to that.
Yeah, so I was preparing for the worst, and it actually turned out to be okay.
So let's talk about. Now I want to get to the content. So what can you tell me is coming, if anything? No, I'm going to ask you about a few things.
Okay.
Now, driver swaps.
Okay.
Can you tell me anything about that? That has been like the thing I have been campaigning for years for you guys to do. And every time I talk to Tony Gardner, he's like, "Oh, you're going to ask me about driver swaps again." So now I'm going to throw it at you.
All right, Tony, don't kill me. So
I think some hints have been dropped too on Twitter by Shannon Whitmore about it, and
well, it's no secret we've been working on it for quite some time, and I'll be loose lips Gardner here, and say I actually tried it last week.
What? Why didn't you guys ask me to come? I want to do some driver swap testing with you guys. What the heck?
Now we're not quite there yet. Probably not this build. But it's...
You guys keep saying that. Probably not this build. Probably not... When?
We're a software company. You know what I mean?
I know. And you guys want it to be right.
It's a very dynamic product. So, to put hard dates on things, you're only going to disappoint people if you don't release it. And we don't want to do that. We've learned from the past. So that's not what we want to do. But know this. It is functional.
It's getting close, it seems.
And it's awesome.
Oh,
it's super
man. I got to test it.
It's super easy. It's intuitive. And it's the way that it's going to work, and the way it's working is it's what most of the sim racing, road racing, endurance guys have been clamoring for forever, it seems.
That is, in my opinion, the ultimate way to sim race. Because that's what we were doing before we started the show.
Sure.
And sharing a car with somebody else just takes sim racing to a whole nother level, because you don't want to be the guy that takes the car out of the race.
Right.
And after you guys have all been working on it for, practicing for that race for a month, 2 months, whatever, and then you're the guy that takes the car out.
Agreed. Agreed. A lot of pressure.
But
we did do some testing on it. The guys continue to work on it. Obviously, we want to make sure it's perfect when it goes out. But
awesome.
know that it's on the horizon, and hopefully near future here, but it's cool stuff.
Awesome. So what about the next build? COTA?
You got it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. I'm really looking forward to that track.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah?
It is gorgeous. I mean, you will not be disappointed.
I'm going to see if I can get it on the alpha build, do a little testing, maybe put out a pre-release video on it. Like I've been, I don't know if you know this, I've been doing some pre-release with your guys' approval, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I did the roof Porsche, the super late model, so I want to get out on COTA. Now, what about the BMW? Is that going to be in the next build?
Knock on wood.
Hopefully.
The BMW is looking really good for this build as well.
You guys just released some images of it, I think, at COTA.
Yeah. And again, if people like the rough, it's,
people. You know what I got to say.
People are going to love the BMW.
And this isn't just because, there's no hiding that we're sponsored by you guys. But I got to say, everybody here is talking about the roof and what a great car. As a matter of fact, I was talking with Chris Considine, who I interviewed earlier, and he knows a lot of real-world Porsche drivers.
Yeah.
And they say that is probably one of the most realistic sim cars. That they were talking, Patrick Long, I think, was one of the drivers, saying that it reacts just like the real thing. And I've driven actually some Porsches, never at speed. Well, maybe a little speed, but never on a track. And
you're not alone there. I'm sure there's millions of people that haven't.
But I was just blown away by it, too. And I know a lot of people here are, too. So
we're extremely proud of it. And if you like the direction that rough has gone, you will love this BMW Z4.
Sweet. Awesome.
It's coming out gorgeously. So hopefully, again, this build, if everything goes well.
Cool. Now, what else for this build? Anything else that you
so a couple of things, and again, knock on wood, Indy Raceway Park. So IRP, ORP, Lucas Oil, whatever you want to call it.
It's like a little half mile, is it?
Yeah.
It's a little tiny bull ring.
Right, and it's legendary. It's been a short track that, famous guys have been going there for years.
Right.
And we've scanned it quite a while ago, but never quite got around to building it. And so the short track guys are really going to love it because it's a cool little track. And then another piece of content that I think people will like. So we've been trying to kind of make our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series complete.
Mm-hmm.
And it's looking really good for the Toyota to join the stable.
That was the other thing I had heard.
Of the Ford
from the guys.
Chevy. There's still some things that we're working out. If all goes well, you'll see it in the next build. And that will be the complete series now because we have all the tracks scanned finally, all the tracks released, all the cars. So I think guys will have a lot of fun. They'll want to do the oval stuff.
That's awesome. Back to, you just mentioned Indy. What about is it the DW12? Is that the... Well, how's that coming along? And it doesn't sound like it's going to be in this build, but you guys working hard on it?
So we have the data. We're working on it. The art's already in production. We have our vehicle dynamic engineer guys kind of figuring it out. We are keeping our fingers crossed. And again, loose lips here. We're keeping our fingers crossed.
By the Indy 500, maybe?
That the oval version of the Dallara will be out.
Oh, that would be awesome.
For the Indy 500. Guys have already said, I'm sure you're going to release it 1 week before. We won't have time to work on sets or anything. Again, the Indy guys have been very patient. Again, I don't think that they will be disappointed. It's a completely new car. And
awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm an Indy guy. I've run the Indy 500 every year since you guys have started it, so I'm looking forward to that race.
That's cool. Very cool.
So I think that's going to wrap it up. I pretty much... I wanted to know about driver swaps. That was the biggest thing I definitely wanted to hear about. So
I may not have a job when I go back, but
I'm sure you will.
It was worth it.
You take it over for loose lips.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So thank you, Otto, for joining me here.
My pleasure,
Great seeing you again, man.
Yeah,
it's always a pleasure hanging out with you.
You too.
And I think we're going to get Landon Harrison over here. Did you see what before you go, have you seen what Landon Harrison's driving with?
No.
Microsoft Sidewinder, like the oldest.
Oh, yeah. I did see that. You know what? It never amazes me some of the equipment that really competitive racers are on.
Yeah.
Because, everyone thinks they have the most expensive.
You don't need it. And we're going to show it to you guys right. He's bringing over his wheel to show you guys what it's all about. So,
it's awesome.
Again, thanks, Otto.
Thanks, Derek. Appreciate it.
I'll talk to you soon. So, we got Landon Harrison coming over here now. and longtime sim racer. Actually was in the GT Academy, and I mentioned him in an earlier interview, and he's got a Microsoft Sidewinder. Come on over, Landon. He's got a Microsoft Sidewinder wheel and pedal set, and Landon competes competitively. That didn't make sense, but he's a competitive racer. Now, you're in the World Championship Series, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and have a seat. You want to take the microphone?
Make sure I don't trip over these wires over here.
So Landon, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Great to be here.
And if we can get a shot of this wheel, this is old school. I think it's only got 270 degrees of rotation and pedal set. And Landon is seriously competitive with this setup. And, you know, like I was talking to Ray Alfalo about, it's about being comfortable with your setup. And obviously you're comfortable with this if you're able to compete at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. And like as for sim racers, it's different for everyone out there. I mean, you can go online and see recommendations about what all the top racers use. You can buy the most expensive chassis setups, triple monitors, quadruple monitors.
And you see a lot of them here.
Yeah. There's a ton back here. Like, you know, $500 wheels, $1,000 wheels, you know, multi-$1,000 rigs. But like, what it comes down to is just, in my opinion, is just practice. Like, you can buy all the equipment in the world, but to be good at sim racing, it just takes dedication, years and years of dedication, practice, and just
practice. Yeah, that's definitely a key. So let's talk about something outside of iRacing. We've done a lot of talking about iRacing, and you're wearing the shirt. You have been in the GT Academy now 3 times, or part of it, and made it to the national finals. So now you also told me that you got there running with a gamepad.
That's right.
And I talked to you about maybe getting you a wheel, and you've talked to some other guys about, I got to get you a wheel so that when you get to the national finals, you talked about practice. You're a little more prepared when you sit in the cockpit and start running that wheel. So tell me about that experience. What's that been like?
Well, I've played Gran Turismo since the very first one, 97 or something?
On the PlayStation 1?
You know, was it like 17 years ago?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that long ago, but I've just played since like the first one came out, you know, GT2, GT3, and all the iterations after that. And I didn't, of course, when I was a kid, I didn't think of myself as a competitive racer. I didn't race online. Well, you know, GT was just like local play back in the day. Like online didn't come till later, but like I didn't really consider myself as competitive. I just like to do laps and try to beat the game and everything. And then, well, Gran Turismo 5 comes along, and then we get the GT Academy program, which puts the best drivers in the world against each other, hot laps around the world circuits, and like, you know, I take some few laps and like, oh, dang, I'm pretty good at this. So I just continue like week after week. Like the competitions are a few weeks long, and
the beginning stages are hot lapping basically.
Yeah. Well, like the great thing about GT Academy is that anyone can do it. They have the software that's downloaded on the PlayStation Network. It starts out with like, you know, a driving test, like passing cones, coming to a complete stop.
Do you even have to own a copy of Gran Turismo 5 or 6? I think
it depends. Like the first one, I believe, yes. And then after that, it's just been like a separate downloadable free content.
With just that cars and the tracks for that particular week that you're competing with.
So yeah, anyone can do it. And I just put laps after laps into the event, and I, you know, made the top 32 and went to the national finals 3 years in a row, hopefully 4 years in a row. And maybe the fourth year will be the last year because maybe I go further next time. So
I'm sure you want that ride, man. You want to get into a real car, don't you?
Yeah, we actually did that last year. We had Monticello, New York. There's a track up there. They took the 32 drivers out there. We did a lap around the track, like just a hot lap, single lap. I don't think they want us to do multiple laps because we get too aggressive, and then we might end up flipping into the tires or something. So yeah, that was an experience too.
That's really cool. So now, what's the highest you've made it out of that top 32? I mean, how high do they? I know what do they take the top 12, or I forget. It's been a while since I've watched it.
Yeah, it's actually changed. The first couple of years, it was the top 16.
That's right.
And then last year, it was just the top 12. I'm not sure why that changed, but yeah, it's just it's getting more competitive and just more limited to. I mean, well, it's definitely more competitive to trying to make that top split, and just that cutoff is just tooth and nail with all the best drivers, and like it's extremely difficult at that level.
So now at the national finals, you're actually racing with a wheel and pedal set against the drivers. You guys are racing against each other, right? So it's no longer hot lapping. Now I think the first year they ran DFGT wheels. Am I right?
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
And then was it T500s?
Yeah.
The last couple years.
I think 2012, like the T500 hadn't been released yet, or something like that. So we were like the first drivers to use it, and I thought that wheel was pretty fun. We used it last year too, and so yeah, everyone's on an equal playing ground, and it's just who can adapt. I think who can adapt the fastest, and just outdrive the competition on the simulated tracks.
Now I have a pretty close relationship with Thrustmaster. So maybe I could talk to my rep about getting you a wheel to be able to practice and be a little more prepared. I got a feeling if you're prepared a little bit more, that you're going to make that top 12 and be able to go on to that next level. Because you haven't made it to that top 12 or 16 yet, right?
No.
Yeah, I got a feeling if we get you a wheel and pedal set, you might be able to get a little bit further.
I think somebody's already taken that place for you. So someone has already begun the process of donating a wheel to me. So
if not, stay in touch with me, man.
Of course,
because
of course.
I want to help you. I would love to see you get to that top 12.
Yeah, absolutely.
This next year.
I'd love it. I mean, I kind of pride myself on being the only controller user. Like, it's kind of fun just seeing the reactions of other people's faces. Like, you use a controller, It's like, how do you operate your thumbs like that?
It's back to that comfort zone, being comfortable and just practice and getting used to it.
Yeah. It's just sometimes it's just not about the equipment. It's just what are you best with, and what fits your style the most. And
right.
I think people often overlook that when they're setting up their sim racing rigs or buying new equipment.
So back to iRacing. World Championship Series. Have you been in every year, or now? And are you in this year? Where are you standing with that?
2014, I made the Peak Antifreeze Series again. I was relegated to Pro Series last year, so I had to fight through that ranks again. But luckily, I made through. I got like 4th, I think, in the final standings. So
okay,
we're back for another shot in the top.
Congratulations to that.
Thanks. In the Premier Oval Series.
How'd you do at Daytona?
Well, Daytona's Daytona, so
the crapshoot.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. You can't control your own destiny. So
and you can't base a season on that race. I mean, if you finish well, it's a nice little booster to get you to the next the next races.
Yeah, I got 22nd, which I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. So
you finished right behind Ray Alfala then.
Yeah,
I think you told me you finished 21st.
Yeah, we came like on the final restart. We had like 1 lap or something, and yeah, we just kind of hooked up for. I guess it was like half a lap. Then they junked it, in turn 3 and 4, and so we just got what we could.
Actually, I'd like to congratulate Kenny Humpy, who we're sponsoring this year. He actually he asked if he could run our logos, the Inside Sim Racing logos. So Kenny Humpy, congratulations on that Daytona win. And I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I have a few other guys waiting in the wings here, but wish you the best of luck, both in the DWC or the Peak. Actually, I want to ask you, what do you think about Peak coming on as a sponsor of the World Championship Series, the NASCAR Series?
I think that's wonderful. I think it legitimizes sim racing in a sense, where outside corporations are recognizing the talent that the drivers in iRacing have, and it'll definitely be a step in the right direction for sim racing, particularly iRacing, and just letting the world see that we aren't just people that play video games, or like men in our basements of our homes just tinkering with electronics. So yeah, I think we got a legitimate niche here, and I'd like to see sim racing get more publicity in the future.
Between GT Academy and what iRacing's doing with the World Championship Series, I think that it's really starting to go that direction. So again, congratulations on making it to the finals, and I really hope to see you go farther this year, and good luck with your Peak Antifreeze NASCAR Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
Landon,
you.
thanks a lot for joining me here. And man, I still can't believe you're doing so well with that wheel and pedal set.
Yeah, sometimes I can't even believe it either. So it still works.
All right, well, let's hand things over. We got Brian Shoenberg coming on now, and Brian has been a longtime sim racer. Actually, it was another driver that we sponsored here at Inside Sim Racing a couple years back, but he's been a staple of the World Championship Series now for a few seasons. Actually, almost every season, right, Brian?
Every season, that's correct.
So, Brian Schoenberg, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Now just make sure the mic's close enough so they can hear
Yep.
you out there. So, so now you've been every season in the Championship Series. Now, what's your highest finish so far?
My highest finish has been 5th twice, the last 2 years in a row, actually, and then a 6th the year before. So really consistent, not that winning type, but still, I mean, it's got to count for something, right?
It definitely counts for something, man. Top 5 in that series is an accomplishment.
It's tough. It's
Yeah,
hard.
You're racing against the best simulated NASCAR racers in the world. So,
That's absolutely right.
what do you think your shot is? Your chances are this season. First of all, how'd you finish at Daytona?
Daytona went well. I was able to get a top 5 out of that, getting 5th.
Good start, man.
It's the best start I've ever
Man,
had there.
5's
so-
your number.
I know, right? I mean, it's a pretty good number, I guess. We had a very smooth race there. Nothing really went wrong, which is pretty unique for Daytona because something's always supposed to go wrong.
Like
You
I
know,
just talked to Landon, it's a crapshoot at Daytona.
It really is. I mean, that race has taught me you kind of just take what it gives you. And 2 out of 5 years, I've actually come out of there in one piece. So this was one of those 2 years. So it went really well. And my chances for the year, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, the season itself is changing so much. The series itself is changing so much. It's more or less turning into you have these 2 or 3 big super teams. And, I mean, there's people that are putting in 6, 7, 8 hour days.
Now, are you on
working
one of them?
Setups. No. No, we have a team of like 2 or 3 people. We'll test maybe 3, 4 hours, for a race. That's it.
Now, how
Compared
much does your prior experience play into this season?
I think it definitely has a lot to do with it because, I mean, you kind of know how to manage the races, racecraft,
Exactly.
Just knowing where to be at the right time and everything else. And, I mean, it plays a big factor in it because a lot of these people are starting to realize when you run the Pro Series and you come into DWC, it's a completely different animal. It really is. So, I mean, that's one of the advantages I have towards, some of these guys that are coming in from the Pro Series. But, no, there's a lot of good new people coming in. So it's going to be tough as it always is. But, we hope to just keep on doing what we're doing. I mean, I'd love to win a race. I can't believe I've run 5 years and not won a race.
You haven't won a race yet, have you? What's your
don't remind
best...
me of that.
I'm reminding you because you're going to get one this year. So, what's your best finish so far in all the seasons?
My best finish ever was 2nd at a Charlotte race back in 2011. That's a long time ago.
Wow.
That was actually when you were on my car.
I was going to say,
Remember
is that when we were
Yeah.
sponsoring you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your equipment. What type of wheel and pedal set are you running? And you got a rig? What are you running with?
Yeah, I have one of the older generation Obotos, which is just
Ozone?
fine. Yeah, the Ozone. It gets the job done. And then
Definitely.
just a stock G27 wheel and pedals and a Leo Bodnar cable on the pedals. But I've looked around at some other stuff, but it's like, if it's not going to make me faster, I don't know if it's really worth it. I mean, there's some cool looking things out there, but if you're not comfortable, guess what?
Look at Landon.
Exactly.
With
I
his
know. I want him to leave that up there. That was an awesome looking thing. I mean, that's a piece of history right
It
there.
is a piece of history. That wheel's been out, God, what, 10 years or something? I mean, that thing's been out for a long time.
I think it's been longer than that because he was telling me off stage he's getting that he got it maybe in 2000. So that's 13, 14 years ago. I mean, that's absolutely
it's showing
incredible.
some wear too. That I saw the red rubbers falling off a little bit. We were talking
Yeah.
about. I said I'd help him out and get him a wheel, but I guess he's got someone that's going to donate a wheel and pedal set to him. And he's been in GT Academy 3 times now. And
Yeah.
I told him, man, maybe if you had a wheel and pedal set going into that, it might help you out. But like you just said, it's about being comfortable.
Exactly.
and practicing with what you got.
Yeah, and it's one of those things also, I mean, the competition has gone so close. I mean, we're talking about literally 200ths of a second makes a difference between running 3rd and, say, 11th or 12th in the series. So imagine you get this new wheel and everything. You don't feel like you're too far off, but if you're still 2 or 3 hundredths off what you're doing before, guess what? That's still a big difference. That's 8, 9, 10 positions right there. So it's like,
Exactly.
is it worth it? No.
Yeah, no, not if you're comfortable. Especially if you're going to change up mid-season. I'm sure you don't want to do that.
No, that might be deadly, honestly.
It
You don't
could
want
be.
to do that. You have to be really careful with what you're doing.
Now, I know you dabble in some road racing too, right? Or you did at least for a little while.
A couple years ago, yeah. It's one of those things in 2012, we weren't having a really good start to the season. It still ended up being a good year overall, but I kind of got away from the oval stuff a little bit. I still ran DWC and everything, but I wanted to kind of venture out and see what I could do. And I kind of felt like there's some potential there, but at the same time, I mean, that's a big commitment to make, and that is just as tough, if not tougher, than the oval series too at some points, you know?
So now, and the reason why I asked you that is because you've done both.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I see comments, I saw some comments on some earlier of the live shows that we did, oh, it's oval racing, you're only turning left.
Yeah.
Now, running at the top level, it's not just about turning left. It's about learning each one of those corners, and each track is different. I mean, some are really similar. Mm-hmm. But in oval racing, you run a lot closer to the competitors.
Yep.
So it's about, running in the draft and, bumping and banging really and just being able to handle that type of racing. So what do you feel the differences are between ovals and roads? And so you just said, it sounds like you think road is a little bit tougher. And is it because you're learning more a bigger track?
Exactly. I think it's totally that right there. I mean, a road, not only is it about racing people, but it's learning the course.
Okay.
And just, trying to attack it from there and seeing what you got. But with oval racing, I mean, you got two corners most of the time. I mean, that's not the hardest part to figure out. The hardest part to figure out is, how am I going to navigate through these people? Is my car good on the long run? How am I going to survive this race? And
saving the tires.
Well, not so much anymore with this tire we have right now, but you know what? In a way, keeping yourself out of trouble, I think, is a big key. And that's something that a lot of new drivers seem to have, trouble with, especially in oval DWC, is just making it to the end. You can have the fastest car around, but guess what? If you knock the right front fender off that thing 4 or 5 laps in the race, it doesn't matter what you have at that point. So there are a lot of differences for sure. I think in road, learning the course takes a lot more time than it would in oval.
Absolutely.
But at the same time with oval, you have to spend a lot more time dealing with people and knowing your competitors and knowing how they react. Now, I mean, honestly, I scare a bunch of people sometimes.
You scare me just sitting here.
Do I really?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but there's a lot of differences for sure, but they're both really neat to do. I mean, it's racing. We love racing. That's why we're here.
Exactly. That's exactly why we're here. So last thing I'm going to ask you or talk to you about, you won the first race here at Atlanta in the trucks.
Yeah.
Have you won any more since we've been here, or has it been kind of crazy out there?
It's been kind of wishy-washy. My biggest mistake was I didn't bring any of my own stuff. It's kind of hard to ship everything over here, but I've been
about being comfortable too, and you're bouncing from rig to rig.
I mean, I've just been bumming, rigs from Greg Spears and Robert Asbury, and I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. For the most part, it hasn't worked out, but I was able to get a podium finish earlier to Danny Hansen in a Texas A fixed race. So, I mean, it kind of comes and goes, but overall, it's still a bunch of fun. It's fun to talk to you as well.
Well, thank you. One more question.
Sure.
What do you think about all this? This is your first year here, right?
Yeah, correct.
So what do you think about this?
It's an awesome event. It sounds like it keeps growing and growing and growing, and we'll see what happens next year. I mean, there's already a lot of people talking about next year, so I guess that's a good sign when they're talking about, the next one before this one's already over. So
awesome.
The sky's basically the limit for it, so
I
it's
agree.
Cool.
You want to give any shout-outs to your sponsors here before we go?
Yeah, I mean, we got some people out there. Main Performance PC, Pro Geek Consulting, JDR Graphics, got a new sponsor. Actually, I got to sign it at this event. RCRL, the league, is coming on board my car as an associate, so that's really cool. And
speaking of which, we've got David Ankeney coming on the show next. So.
Oh my gosh, everybody better stay tuned because you think I'm exciting, he's twice as exciting. So that's about it from here.
Speaking of which, where did he go?
We'll go find him.
David Ankeney? Oh, man, I hope he didn't disappear. Oh, here he comes.
Here he comes.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Brian,
thank you,
a lot,
as
buddy.
always. Nice.
And thanks for joining me here on the show, and thanks for answering my questions. And
thank you.
Here's David. Let me see if I got your last name right. David Ankeney.
That's correct.
Awesome.
That's correct,
awesome. So we got David Ankeney here, and he is now you're the lead at RCRL? Are you the lead administrator?
I'm the lead administrator. Brian Stiers is actually the owner. He's one of the founders, the original founders. RCRL has been around since 2008 is when he and Robbie Ashwitz put it together and started it. It wasn't very long after that I got involved with them. And I've kind of helped them admin and kind of turned into the lead admin as jobs and lives have changed and they can't be quite as involved as they used to be. So.
Well, first of all, I didn't say thank you for joining me here. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
And now you've been involved with the iRace4Life seminar this is the third year, right? You've been here all 3 years?
Yeah, I was at the get-go. In fact, when Sion was deciding to do this, he got together with me and some of the other guys in the area and kind of bounced off the idea and was asking what we thought about it and how to get started. So I've kind of been on it from the get-go. This is Sion's baby.
Yeah,
No doubt about it.
for
This
sure.
is all his. I just happen to be blessed enough to live in the area and be willing to help him get it going.
Very cool. And now you've been like adminning all the races here, all the tournaments that have been going on.
Yes, and over the 3 years, you know, the first year we did it, iRacing's tournament features weren't real easy to use.
Yeah.
And so we didn't
they
do
were a little
that.
clunky, and they have improved.
And they have improved since then. Last year we tried it, and we had a lot of issues doing it, trying to set it up to where when it transferred from one race to the next and setting up the grid field, and it was kind of a mess. But this year, we decided to go ahead and set up an iRace4Life league, invite everybody that comes to the seminar, and do it all through the league deal. And that has run way smoother this year. So that'd be
good
great.
thinking, good
now,
thinking.
if iRacing can get the tournament features to go off within the league features, so I don't have to go outside of that to do that, we can limit it to those, then we'll be golden.
Hear
It
that,
will run
iRacing? Maybe
smooth.
you can
Yes.
implement that
I've
coming
already
up.
talked to Otto about it a
Okay,
couple
cool.
of times.
I don't know if you heard my interview with Otto, but he had some loose lips and was talking about some future stuff. Remember we were talking at dinner about driver swaps.
Right.
And so he's like, it's not going to come. He doesn't think it's coming the next build, but it hopefully will be coming soon.
Well, and it doesn't surprise me you asked him about that.
That's something like I told Otto, I've been campaigning for that for years. So let's talk about RCRL. So NASCAR series, right?
It's a NASCAR series, and the name comes from Real Competitive Racing League. That's where the letters come from. When they put that together, it's always been about NASCAR. Trying to run the Cup Series was the number one thing we always wanted to do. And we've always tried to simulate or try to get as close as we can to what the actual Cup Series did. Now, it was very difficult when we first started trying to get onto iRacing because that was before iRacing had hosted sessions. So it was much more difficult to try to put that together.
I can imagine.
And so we did a lot of our stuff. Actually, we would go through the Xbox and run a bunch of that stuff
Oh, no
because
kidding.
it was actually easier to do than it was through iRacing. Then when iRacing got hosted sessions and allowed us to do that and be able to incorporate the points and take care of that, that's when we 100% into iRacing because that is the sim that can get us closest to what we want, which is being like the NASCAR.
So if somebody was interested in joining you guys, what's your website address?
It's www.thercrl.com.
Okay.
Very
And,
simple.
you
And
guys-
right on the front page, there's a button there that says how to join. You'll click on it. Simple instructions to do that. An application, as soon as you do that, an email goes out to all of us admins, and then we can go and review. And so we run 2 series. We run a Cup Series on Monday nights. We call it the Pro Cup Series.
Okay.
And that iteration started last year. And it started at this event. Greg Spears is an ex-DWC driver.
Okay.
And had dropped out of the DWC because of some of the over-aggressive driving and some of the ways some of the drivers drive. Didn't want to do that anymore. But he still wanted to have that butterfly feel and the go racing and want to have that really hard racing and know that he had to drive his butt off to get a top 10.
Awesome.
So he wanted to put together where we could get some of those pro drivers on their off nights to come race in a league format and be a little more selective and try to weed out those guys that just wreck to win.
I hear you.
Kind of
I
thing.
hear you. Now,
So
how long
that's
you guys
how
been
that
around?
got started.
How long total has RCRL been around?
RCRL started in 2008, and I think it was April of 2008, and that's when it first was put together. Now the group of guys, Robbie and Brian, had known each other for a couple of years prior to that, and had run in some other leagues. And in fact, Brian tells me the story. He was in one league that he and Robbie were winning every race, and they kicked him out because they were too fast.
Oh, wow.
And that's
I've heard of
and
that
that's-
happening before.
Yeah, and that's what drove them to start the RCRL.
What sim were you guys using back when RCRL
When it first started, we were using Xbox because
Oh, so you went from Xbox to iRacing.
to iRacing, and a lot of that
Interesting.
happened with the ability to, as iRacing got started, once they
What
did the
title?
hosted session.
NASCAR 2009 or something
Well,
like
yeah,
that?
I think
or-
it was 2000. NASCAR
Well,
2008,
2008,
was the first one. Was the first sim that we started using.
Now, did you force people to use wheels, or were people on
No.
controllers too? or
We,
did you just
we
let
allowed
open?
them to use whatever they wanted to. We encouraged wheels, but to be honest, it's faster with the controller because that's the way console gaming is.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a controller, not everybody's got a wheel. So you were at a disadvantage if you ran the wheel.
I'm not
and you
surprised.
couldn't have forced people in the field of view, and a lot of them would drive from their roof
Yep.
And so they could see the car, and it was a severe disadvantage if you drove from the cockpit.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's why iRacing forces it.
Right.
So that levels the
exactly.
playing field, so everybody's got to be in the cockpit. And I remember in NASCAR 2003, there was a bunch of roof cam drivers and
Yeah.
chase cam, whatever you want to call it, and definitely was an advantage because you can see more of the track.
You could see more of the track. You could see more what your car was doing.
Yep.
Before if you were in the cockpit, you couldn't always see that. So that it was a big advantage to do that, and that wasn't very realistic.
Yep.
So
now how many tournament sessions have we had here?
we have had we ran 6 road qualifying type sessions, so everybody could get long, like 6-hour sessions, 2 each day, so that guys could get in and see who could turn the hottest lap and just get practice after practice after practice. We've ran an oval and a road race in 3 of them each day. So we're on, I think, our 8th or 9th race right now, and we'll probably, last year, we raced till 4 o'clock in the morning.
I heard.
So
yeah. I don't think I'm going to be here.
in
Actually,
fact,
I got to get to the airport.
Sean's
so.
interview with
With
Sion
Sion.
was 4 a.m. last year,
Yep.
so he's a little more bright-eyed when you interviewed him this year, I'm sure. But
And Sion talked to me pre-seminar and said, hey, can we do my interview a little bit earlier? And I'm
don't
like,
doubt
yeah.
that.
And you know what? So he was my first interview, so that worked out really well for him.
that's probably much better for him because probably about an hour or two you'll see him sleeping over here.
Probably. He looks like he's getting a little worn out. I know I am, and he's been doing a whole lot more than I have.
Yeah.
So before we go, let's talk about your setup. And
Okay.
actually, let's go back a little bit. How long have you been sim racing?
I started sim racing back in, I think it was 92, 93, the Bill Elliott
NASCAR
game.
Challenge?
Yeah,
or
the
whatever it's
NASCAR
called?
came out. And then got hooked on the Papyrus stuff when it first came out. I remember modems, doing the 14.4 modems and dialing in and worrying about, you had to drive with the bubble because everybody's
We were
connection was
talking
so
about that.
horrible. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier when 56K or 52K modems came out. We were like, oh yeah, 56K, we're going to be fast. Nobody will be blinking anymore. And now look where we're at.
I know,
I
it's
went
amazing.
through all the way up through the 2003, and I still have a lot of those old Papyrus games just because I'm not going to get rid of them because it's history for me.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
In fact, my first force feedback wheel was an Act Labs Force RS, and I still have it in the attic just because I
Awesome.
don't want to get rid of it.
That's awesome. Now, what are you running now? What have you progressed to?
I have a CSW with a BMW rim. That's my steering wheel.
Uh-huh.
I have a set of CSD pedals. That's my pedals. I run a GS4 seat, the motion seat. And then my rig itself is handmade.
A lot of times that's the best way.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a DIY guy. I've tried a few of the production type stuff, and some of them have something you like, another one will have something you like. And over the period, what I've done is use that information to make something that fits what I wanted to do.
Very
I know
nice.
last year Sean did
A piece on your
a
rig.
piece on my rig, and it's changed a little bit since last year. So if you get a chance, take some pictures and post so the guys can see the
I have,
changes.
yeah.
So, but it's changed a little bit. Added some spec gauges so I could see
Those
the
are
gauges.
really cool.
Yeah, put a NASCAR contingency decals on the side with the RCRL Pro Cup logo in place of the Sprint Cup logo.
And you have the Inside Sim Racing sticker on your rig, I
Oh,
saw.
I think I've got 3 of them actually.
Nice.
If you
I'll have
look.
to give you a couple more maybe to populate it a little more there. David, it's been a pleasure meeting you, and I want to thank you for joining me here on the show. And man, keep it up with RCRL, man. You guys, you got a really good thing going.
Thank you. And I appreciate you coming out here and putting some more light on what we do.
My pleasure.
And this wonderful opportunity. I'm sure Sion talked about it, but iRace4Life is a great opportunity for you to show the world where your heart's really at.
Yeah.
Win a race, donate to your favorite charity.
Yeah.
And let us know so we can keep track. I think we're getting close to $10,000 in donations.
That's
since
what he
we
was
started
saying.
This.
That's what Sion said.
Awesome thing, awesome something to be involved with. So.
And maybe you can come out to the seminar next year and join us here and meet
Definitely.
a lot of cool sim
We want
racers.
all of you to be out here. We have grown in who comes and travels. It's awesome to meet these guys, put a face with who you race with,
Yep.
and get to know them. Sometimes you think they're a jerk when you're racing them, but when you meet them in real life,
Things change.
they are good guys.
Yeah,
really,
for sure.
I haven't really met anybody I hated yet.
Yep. Again, David, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much
Thank you,
for
Dan.
joining me here, and thanks again for everything you do here.
Yeah. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to all you RCRL guys. Let's go, babe.
Awesome, man. All right, so that's going to wrap up the last session here from the iRace4Life seminar. I'm Darren Ganji with Inside Sim Racing. Hopefully you've enjoyed all our coverage here. I'm going to have a lot more coming to you post-seminar. I've filmed a ton of stuff here, so be getting that up as soon as I can. I'll see you guys next time.